All right, everybody, let's get started with Chainlink Live. Hey, everybody, my name's Andy Boyan from Chainlink Labs, and this is Chainlink Live. I'm here with CurioInvest. I've got a few different members of the leadership team here, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves real quick to get us started. Fernando, why don't you lead us off?
Hello, everyone. This is Fernando Verboonen. I'm CEO and co-founder of CurioInvest. We've been pioneering and leading the asset tokenization space out of Switzerland. A very exciting project that today I'm very happy to share more insights about. The project has been, awarded one of the leading effectively projects within the space. Some of these, media and banks have scouted, and there's a lot of innovation behind, both on the tech side, of course, but also on the regulatory framework that enable us to tokenize and to become effectively the world's first player that tokenized a Ferrari F12 TDF. I'll tell you more about it in a moment.
I'm looking forward to this very, very much. Vladimir, you are the CTO. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role.
So I just met Fernando in Trustsquare 3 years plus ago. The Trustsquare is a blockchain hub in Zurich, and he just catch me and say, "Hey, bro, can you please help me with some tech stuff?" And yeah, I have some background before in Russia. And I say, of course, what do you need? I mean, it was like just, yeah, why not? Some fun. But after this, we become in garage mechatronic. In a couple of months after this, I'm meeting with Valerie, with the whole family, and I just love this and going like CTO in this project. So it's just crazy. So and I just studied in Germany before and born in Russia. That's all what I can tell about myself.
So this is how you recruit in the crypto space is can you help me with my website turns into can you help me reinvent finance? It'll take a few years.
Exactly. It was just destiny.
No, that is pretty accurate. I've heard that story as well. And another Vladimir as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role.
I'm Vladimir Sushkov. I'm from Belarus. I'm technical team leader at CurioInvest company. I manage projects, team members, and other more.
Excellent. And Vladimir's got some screen sharing he's going to show with us later on. So everybody hang out. We're going to take a look at CurioInvest and some of their new features and all sorts of interesting things. Let's start with what is it? Tell us how CurioInvest works and what makes it really special.
Yeah, so once in a while, you come across a project that has the potential to redefine the industry and in a very different direction, right? So most of the time, people hear about these when it's too late, when and you cannot take part of it. So are we there? Oh yeah.
No, it's just me. I'm just featuring.
So basically, lucky for you, you're here from the very beginning. So CurioInvest basically is a tokenization platform that is using some of the latest technology developments in order to democratize real-world assets and to bring them to DeFi. Together with Chainlink, we effectively make it possible for an asset to be converted into a stable and an asset token that people online across the world can buy and therefore get within the portfolio and diversify. And what is very exciting about CurioInvest is that we have a pipeline of rare collectible assets, the cars, and today it's growing even to other assets. And some of these cars, for instance, they have some provenance. There's some history behind. They might have been driven by, famous drivers or diplomats and so on, and therefore, by definition, they belong to, in a way, they're a piece of history. So having the opportunity to diversify your portfolio with these assets becomes quite unique, something that the very wealthy could only do that. And if you think about asset tokenization, it essentially has the potential to bring, trillions of dollars of real world assets onto the blockchain. So we're starting with a single car. It's the most basic concept that got through and made us, in a way, it made a dent in history in which Curio became the first player to do so in a compliant way. But the framework can be effectively scaled to, other assets. And today, we're going to elaborate more about how it actually works, what are the components behind, and how, of course, Chainlink is supporting that ecosystem that, in a way, provides additional benefits, right?
Yeah, let me ask a couple of questions. I'm a curious person, and so like we get going. So you guys are really well known for tokenizing this Ferrari, and so people can get this ownership of a piece of it. Is it a common question people have with Bitcoin? Do I need to buy a whole Bitcoin, or can I buy a part of it? Do I need to buy the whole Ferrari, or is this allow me to buy little pieces of it, little shares of it?
Right. So, I mean, when you look at the tokenized asset, you see two tokens, one, an NFT that represents effectively the ownership of that asset, and then ERC tokens that represent the future profit of that asset, the future financial benefits. So the way it works, similar to any launchpad out there, is we run a whitelist fundraising event, a crowdfunding, and STO and ICO, where there are many names, IDO, and basically we raise the funds from several investors to purchase that asset. The moment we purchase it, then Curio becomes the owner. So we create an NFT, and the investors hold the ERC token, which gives them the right to the future profits, financial benefits when we sell the asset. So this is how it all begins. And therefore, this is what, so say you own 10% of the ERC tokens. So it means that you own 10% of the future profits from when we sell that asset, basically.
Got you. Now, there's a couple other things you said in your first explanation that I really want to highlight is in a compliant manner. You use this phrase. Doing this, like tokenizing real world assets, is difficult. And so that is like, it's one of the more dry parts to talk about, but it's something that is a real game changer that you guys have managed to do. So I just want to highlight that for our viewers and audience. Is oftentimes we say that in a compliant manner, but that's actually a pretty critical and important part of it. So, well, I want to see what this looks like. Can you guys show us the platform?
Right. As a matter of fact,
go ahead.
Fernando, share the screen.
Yeah, just a little bit of background. As a matter of fact, the idea. Excuse me.
I think you're lagging a little bit, Fernando. So
okay.
Go ahead and give the background what you were going to say on compliance.
Right. As a matter of, so the idea started out of an Oxford class where we picked up a framework, the regulatory framework that they suggested, and we went across a journey of jurisdictions, exploring with different councils what would be the most, robust framework to tokenize real-world assets. Fortunately, out of Switzerland, Liechtenstein, these are two of the jurisdictions of the countries that are more far ahead. So there's now needing blockchain law, and within that, that framework, Curio has positioned as one of the leaders in the space, basically working since the onset with the regulators in order to craft that definition. And this is how we, via a prospectus, a legal document, and communication with these folks, we managed to get that approval, basically.
This is the work that needs to be done for a lot of DeFi and crypto projects that you guys are doing, and that's fantastic. The other element I want to say, Vladimir, can you get your screen going so that we can show our audience what this looks like? But the other thing that Fernando said is this isn't just tokenizing a car. This is a platform for tokenizing real world assets of many kinds. And so this is a really exciting project. It's something that many Chainlink enthusiasts and fans and team members have been excited to see as well. Yeah, everyone, if you're just joining, this is Chainlink Live with CurioInvest. Feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we will get to them as well. Can we see what this platform looks like? Vladimir, Sushkov.
Yes.
All right. Let's take a look at the CurioInvest. Tell us what we're looking at.
This is our official website, CurioInvest.com, our Ferrari. Let me show you Capital Dex. We are positive.
Yeah, please click on the Ferrari. Please click.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you can actually take the piece of this Ferrari right here. So you just buy Ferrari and drop it to the exchange, or wrapping token, what you can transfer without know your client procedure, or actually the CT1 token, which you can collateral like DAI in our smart contract ecosystem in each stablecoin. So can you see Vladimir showing from Capital Dex farming?
Yeah.
So you can farm the CGT. Yeah. Then you just need to provide liquidity. You can farm the CGT. Then you just come to swap.
CGT is the native your protocol token.
Governance, yeah, with proposals and all this stuff. You just can farming, then just take the CGT and change the CGT for stablecoin.
Stablecoin.
Just change it. Yeah, you just don't. Everything what you need, it's actually just a farming this token, then swap for stablecoin.
Yeah.
This is on Ethereum.
Yeah. Yes, the governance token is planning and already issued in Polkadot. We're just waiting the Snowfork finalization of the bridge, and then we can provide liquidity from Ethereum to our parent chain.
Swap again.
Well, the so once you
create
liquidity,
part is that this is all live.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So then you go. Yeah.
So the exciting part about this whole ecosystem is that it's all live. And there's one more. Can you share the stablecoin dashboard so that the audience can see it?
Yes. We
Afterwards,
go
I'd like to wrap it up so
Vladimir.
that I do a summary of the three. Yes.
Yeah, just Vladimir, please change the stablecoin on Uniswap to CT1.
Yes. Go to CurioInvest website and click to highlight and click by Ferrari. You can swap Curio stablecoin to Curio Ferrari token on Uniswap. I have already CSC. For example,
yeah, swap it.
We can swap. I already have
this CT1 is a share of the future earnings of a Ferrari.
Yeah, this is actually a security asset from all your perspectives.
You can think of it as a car token Ferrari F12 TDF. Yeah.
Vladimir, go ahead to Collateral this for stablecoin.
Go to Stablecoin Dashboard.
So now here Vladimir just got tokens, and now he can actually use his car tokens and get a loan via stablecoin.
Okay.
I have one vault. Click to manage vault, and I generate stablecoin. Basically, generate. For example, 1,000, and click generate.
Okay, so this is cool. Let me
I
walk
already
through
have
some of this.
Stablecoin.
So you can get some governance token. You can farm if you want. You
Yeah.
can use what you're farming to buy a piece of this Ferrari token, and
Yes.
or you can just buy that Ferrari token outright if you want. Now, CurioInvest also you can use that Ferrari token as collateral for a DeFi loan, and so
Yeah.
you can deposit that, and you can take out
Exactly.
stablecoins to do whatever you want with.
Yes,
In that way.
and now he just buy from this
Right.
stablecoin, let's say Ethereum, and it's everything on our platform. It's our capital DEX. It's normal DEX. We're working with the scale to make the layer 2 protocol there. So it's make transactions super cheap, like 1 cent per transaction, and the launching of Polkadot system. But I think I need to talk about this a little bit later today. Okay, Fernando?
We've got a couple of good questions from the audience too, so that I want to get into. But I have another sort of idea here. On a lot of lending platforms, DeFi lending, I deposit one asset that has volatility, and so if the price goes way down, suddenly I'm under collateralized and I'm in some danger. By using a collectible as an asset, the volatility is a lot less, right? The volatility of a Ferrari it doesn't go down, right? Unless something disaster happens to it, and then it's insured. But that otherwise, it's just going up. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, this is not financial advice, but historically speaking, when you look at collectibles, the price has been linked to the scarcity of the collectible, and as more cars crash and so on, the ones that are left within the limited edition of 100 or so, think of them as those two last that are just pristine. They, the demand simply increases. It's unlimited, but the supply is limited to two concurrent ones. And this is why in the last 10 years, the price of the cars has increased over time the most compared to other collectibles, and has even exceeded some, indexes. Of course, no financial advice here. And also, historical price might not define future prices, but the fact that you can now bring your collectible, if you're a collector, and get instant liquidity thanks to the, stablecoin, or invest in collectibles and get that stablecoin is just amazing. And what Vladimir just walked you through is live, fully functional applications. Now we're in the scale growth, and this is a very exciting one. So I would like to do a little bit of summary here. Basically, what you saw today is 3 apps, basically. The so-called Launchpad, the CurioInvest, which enables everyone to get in firsthand on that next tokenized asset. There's a lot of cool, neat features in there. You might vote which asset comes afterwards and things like that. And you also, can buy additional, features, maybe even some AR skins to look at your car online on an AR and things like that. We're just enhancing the ownership experience of the car token. So that will be basically the model that enables us to tokenize this asset today for cars, in the future for other assets. Then Vladimir also walked you through the so-called stablecoin, where you use within the stablecoin app, you use your concept, your assets to get that liquidity. And this is the one that is connected to Chainlink. So, the price of the cars is gathered from, different sources. I mean, there's companies that provide valuation of these assets. There are experts, there's web crawlers, there's different data points, and all these prices are aggregated within the Oracle. So the stablecoin app is effectively checking in with the Oracle. Hey, is this token worth that much? Is this collateral enough for us to, create that stablecoin? And then the Oracle from Chainlink says, okay, yeah, it is worth this. If this user gives you 100, you can give him, 80 stablecoins as a loan. And this is the beginning of, bringing unprecedented liquidity to, non-bankable assets, to collectibles, to cars, to a Ferrari F12, basically. And then last but not least, it's more advanced DeFi hub, which is the Capital DEX. It recently got the award from Scale Network to bring the level 2, layers that fees are very small, and basically it's that platform that allows you to lock in your tokens, farm, and of course benefit from liquidity mining and
bridge to the Binance chain, bridge to the
protocols like Uniswap.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and effectively get that liquidity.
Cool. So, in DeFi, I talked to a lot of DeFi projects, and we talk about diversifying collateral, diversifying all these assets. This is a great example of that as a collateral asset that has a very different model of volatility. Like, just it behaves differently, so people can act differently and with their risk portfolios and things. We've got some great audience questions, so I'm going to start throwing some of these to you guys right now. Jeremy starts. How does Curio ensure the integrity of the underlying asset? And I'm going to break that into two questions. One is, how do you know it's worth what it's worth? And two, how do you, it's a car, you got to protect it. It's got to be safe somewhere. How is that verified? Where is it? So one, how do you know the good price? And you touched on this with the Chainlink Oracle, but if you can chat again about that.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the unique, let's say, properties that Curio brings is its selection criteria. We have a very rigorous selection criteria for users or collectors who submit their asset, and therefore, the asset gets qualified. Is this, a good enough or a high quality product or not? So there's, of course, a proprietary algorithm that, all these assets are run through. But on a high level, the idea is that the asset is, of course, in good state. There's, some sort of clean provenance that everyone knows where it comes from and so on. But most importantly, that the valuation that we get in a way matches the expectations, right? So at the end of the day, the goal is that investors token holders who jump into the car hopefully jump at a good price, and so there we try to kind of negotiate the price with the seller, and we secure a purchase option to acquire the asset, provided that we raise the funds from the audience. And this is kind of like a quality check. If the audience believes, hey guys, I just Google and I found something way more, half the price, there's no way I'm going to invest, then no one will invest. And therefore that's kind of like the the make it or break it. So provided there's a lot of demand, then we of course secure the asset, we purchase it, and we get the valuation, of course, get the inspection of the asset beforehand via third parties. So we have access to a network across all Europe that reviews the car, that inspects it, and so on. And in regards to the valuation, how much we know what it's worth, well, these experts tell you a guidance, what is it that the current market value for this asset is. And of course, you have several APIs that provide that price. So when you look at the median average of the three, the idea is that we target assets that are below 10% of the market value. And in this way, when you get your token, you have in a way an indicator, which is the Chainlink Oracle, that tells you, okay, our sources agree this token is worth X amount of dollars, right? And then if you sell it, whether you're selling it at least for a premium or a discount of that current market value. Of course, this might change. It might be the case that there's certainly an auction, and then the car gets sold in Sotheby's or so, and for a record price. Therefore, in that case, the Oracle would update that price.
So,
but the reality is that these assets don't change over time.
We have a couple of questions about that. We have a couple questions about that process here. So I'm going to put them both on screen for 1 sec and read them and let you guys.
Just to answer the second part of the question, which is how we know we're protected. These cars are stored at a climate control warehouse. This is a bonded warehouse, top notch, where the assets, are preserved for for investment purposes, basically. If you guys have the access to the link, you can show the picture, Vladimir. Yeah, go ahead with the other questions,
cool.
please.
Okay, so question one, and this is a two-parter as well. Future profits are subject to deductible costs, currency fluctuations, market timing, and divestment style. So what transparency over the underlying asset is offered? And then a follow-up, which came sooner, but these are both related to the same question, I think, is who decides when to sell? Like if it's sold at auction, who decides that? And what happens if it is sold? Like you've got to make these decisions in there. So can you could talk a little bit about the asset itself being sold as opposed to the tokens?
Right. So when you invest in an asset, you get a token that links that gives you the right to future profits, right? Now the way we structure an asset is the price of the asset plus insurance, storage, and maintenance costs. So you have a small markup that covers it as a whole, and there's a holding period from when it starts to, let's say, 5 years. So you as an investor, you don't have to worry about the maintenance, the parking, any fee that is related to the insurance. This is a lot of hard work because you have to find the right people. Sometimes you get, there's expensive mechanics. It's a nightmare if you're not an expert in the space. Today, thanks to Curio, you just hold a coin and that's it. There's the team is taking care of that. Now, within that period of time, we are motivated by having by selling the asset for a higher price because our fee comes from that. We actually take a cut from the profit that you make as an investor. So if there's no profit, there's no cut for us, basically. So we're sad. And basically, what we try is that if you actually need liquidity, you have two options. You could sell your token, but maybe you believe actually it's going to increase in price. So therefore, you might just get a stable coin. Voila. Now you get that liquidity and you're well taken care of. Now, at the end of the cycle, throughout this period, we might, reach out, maybe a check once his car on his collection, or some, rapper who just, or, boxer who just won the, competition and he wants to splash his cash. So in that case, we assess the bid. The cars are always for sale, but the bids are only taken if they exceed a minimum threshold. And this minimum threshold is included into the offer that we launch when we raise funds. We have some expectations for each car. Sometimes we find a crazy deal, so we expect, a minimum threshold of, 25% or so along those lines. And now, within that period of time, if there's an exit, then we open it publicly, and then people can, bid to purchase that asset. If there's no other option, then we sell it to the best basically bidder within that period of time. However, the price should exceed that threshold, as well as the weighted average over the last 30 or 60 days, depending on the asset. So if token for some reason is trading very high, we might hold a bit longer. Why? Because people, are of the opinion the asset it's worth much higher. Now, at the end of the 5-year cycle, we need to pay the cost again for the stock insurance, storage, and so on. So we ask our holders to, if they want to keep their token or not. So those who don't want to keep it, then we run another fundraising event where we add those costs. Those who keep it, they just, buy hold and, reap the rewards of waiting. So this is how it works. Now, the exit scenario is still, improving. So based on the customer's feedback, we might even run the voting and so on. So far, to keep it in a safe sandbox, we have, let's say, the ultimate say. However, we, of course, are seeking, to improve and to bring the DAO, which we have, even closer to our business. Yeah.
Cool. Domi has another question as well about where the assets are held? So is it a non-leverable balance sheet? And are they stored in owned or leased premises for the assets themselves?
This is a very crucial question, and the person who asked this, he knows a little bit about it. Now, let me give you a little bit of background. So, when assets are, owned by an entity, then when assets are tokenized, then you effectively are buying a share linked to that entity that owns the assets somehow, whether it's through a bond or through equity or directly. So, this when a company owns it inside its own company, this is called on balance sheet. Now, when it's some other company in the offshore setup and so on, this is called out of balance sheet, basically. So you have these two options. The reason this is important is that if you go for some reason bankrupt, the people who you owe money, they look at your assets and they want you to sell them so that you pay them, basically. So if it's on balance sheet, sometimes, this would mean that you have to sell the assets and pay the debtors. But in this case, the assets are not ours. They are, there's a claim from the investors, the token holders, to that value. So what basically Curio assessed was kind of a pros and cons of both setups. And we learned that, within the context, sometimes out of balance sheets, it's very hard to recover the assets because you don't know what structure offshore they're located and so on. So we went for the on balance sheet. However, we created the structure that enabled us to effectively, shield those assets from debtors and from, any leverage that our team could do. In other words, the assets are within a SPV in this, jurisdiction, within the Swiss Liechtenstein jurisdiction. However, there is a so-called shield called a pledge agreement that effectively protects the token investors on that asset. And this is one of the innovative parts of the structuring of the whole project.
Awesome. What a great question, and what a great answer too. This is just a really interesting way to think about different assets. Do you guys have other types of assets that are on the roadmap? Like, well, let's start with cars, because like you've got this car already. Are there more cars coming soon? Like, what's kind of next? And then after that, you mentioned boats if people want them. What are some other things that are on the roadmap there?
Yeah, so I mean, the project basically started already in 2018. We pitched the idea to a few collectors. We had about 10 cars at that point. It grew to 500 today. So we have 500 of the world's rarest collectibles, basically pledges or LOIs from collectors open to, tokenize their asset. This might not sound a lot, but remember that collectibles is just a fraction of all the car. When you look at this fraction in regards to the total collectibles, you're looking at 5% of the world's collectibles. So it's a significant amount of assets there line up. Now, as we speak, of course, the first tokenization caught, the eyes of several players. It was featured, on Nasdaq, Bloomberg, and all these, tier one media houses. So we are in discussions with, fine art. So artworks, basically, in the north of several $1 million per asset. So you're looking at, masterpieces or contemporary art, which is at this stage still out of focus, but of course, it's in the pipeline. There's also real estate opportunities. The framework can be scaled basically to that. And of course, there's all kind of, very exciting, crazy ideas. Some people talk about YouTube cash flow intros. Others talk about pre-IPO and so on. So there's all kind of assets, basically real assets that can be tokenized, whether they're physical or not physical. It will be really up to our audience or DAO
I think-
members to decide.
I
Basically.
think we need to talk about the upcoming DAO cars. This is not the collectible cars. This is for the CGT holders only car, and you can rent with CGT this car, and this is be a shareable and rentable car. This is be online in July. So we're in July on our platform. So
A
you
drivable car?
Yes, this is the sport car. It's not collectible. It's
Yeah.
a high-level car, and the first one be Mercedes AMG GTS. And the only CGT holders, the governance token holders, can buy it. And after this, only these token holders can rent it. This car with the CGT, and we build it on Parachain on Polkadot. And it's be world first security asset online in Polkadot, I think. We try to connect with Chainlink. So the Chainlink, I know now two in process to delivering the oracles in Polkadot ecosystem. So we try to collaborate with Chainlink in this area too. And the second thing, the second asset, kind of asset, what we try to bring, it's an NFT tokenization for our customers. So everybody in the world who have a car in garage, who have the legal documents for this car, can come to us and tokenize his car, and we give him a loan for his car in our stablecoin. So everybody who have the car, make the NFT, send us this NFT and all the documentation for this car, and we, with experts, give the fair price for this car and give him a loan in our collateral system with our stablecoin. So he don't have this security asset, and we tokenize his car for this customer, but he don't have this security asset. It's our ownership before he want to buy this stablecoin back to us. So it's a loan system, and everybody who have the car, and everybody in the future who have the real estate, and everybody who have the art can tokenize by us.
This is great. And we've got people in the chat who are interested already. So I got a couple more questions before we wrap up. Is it true that Vladdy is a top Chad? I think it is true. I think we've seen that for sure. Thank you for your question. I got another good one up here that Jordan needs some Chainlink rims on his tokenized Ferrari. Also, one more that I think was fun. I'm still waiting for the JRR token, but honestly, like a collectible piece of literature, like first editions, those could absolutely be tokenized on something like this. It's a collectible, and it has investor interest and things like that. So while you may be in jest a little bit, Valhalla, I think something like that is definitely roadmap worthy, or at least worth considering on something like CurioInvest. Everyone, this has been a fascinating Q&A. Go ahead, Fernando, if you want to comment on any of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I look at the outlook of CurioInvest and basically any other leading asset tokenization project, I feel that we're riding an impressive wave that even the founders of Coinbase are kind of predicting everything will be tokenized by some blockchain at some point. So as we learned today, we're talking about cars, but there's also paintings, houses, even literature, first edition, even cards from baseball and so on. So it's a blue ocean, effectively, that it's taking place and getting shape as we speak with this first car, but maybe other assets coming up soon. So I would like to highlight a little bit or share a little bit more about where we see Curio and Chainlink in 5 years or in 10 years. What is the outlook? And I think what's something very amazing that's happening with oracles is the combination of this pricing, but most importantly, what it enables, what use cases. So as Vladimir was walking you through the platform, very briefly, users who sign up, let's say, into the CurioInvest platform get a dashboard. And within this dashboard, basically, you can have a kind of a portfolio management overview. Why? Because for the first time, the real value of the collectibles and therefore the tokens. So you can in the future diversify, I want 5% of a Ferrari. I want 10% of, a Porsche. I want, let's say, 20% of collectible cars and, 80% of art. Things like that will soon become, doable and feasible thanks to the combination of the Oracle and, tokenized assets on a single individual level. So also, this is portfolio management. The other use case is, of course, the one that we described with the Curio stablecoin, collateralization tracking, knowing that collaterals are, are not going to get, executed, and therefore, you might lose them. So you're always in the safe, knowing that you are always in the safe threshold and there's no margin calls or anything is very important. So therefore, having that valuation is relevant. And last but not least, I think this is the one I'm most excited about. I feel that there's a so-called index token coming sooner or later, where you would just get, one token that represents a basket, maybe a Ferrari lineup, maybe the top 20 Ferraris in history will be within the Ferrari basket, maybe the top 20 Porsches, and so on. So therefore, if you are not sure about which token to buy, because maybe you like cars but you're not such an expert into them, you might go for, the vintage lineup or the Ferrari, or even just the whole Curio collection. And I think this is very exciting. I mean, I'm not allowed to share much about our roadmap from a proprietary side, but this is something that is keeping us very, very busy. And I want to look and learn and explore and find out more about that. So if this is something that makes you excited, feel welcome to reach out, to connect, explore, and maybe we can even collaborate at some point. We're always looking for smart team members that, want to change the financial inclusion that we see today and want to improve this world. So feel welcome to stop and say hi.
So we've got people in the audience who are like ready to go and put their cars on chain. So where's the best place to get a hold of you? Are you guys primarily Discord, Telegram? Where does your team live?
Yeah, we evolve a nice community within Telegram. There's a direct link on our website. So feel welcome just to jump in, reach out for admins, or just, join the conversation. And as we get to know you, then we will know where exactly there's some synergies. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. All of you, CurioInvest, Vladimir, Vladi, Top Chat, I hear, Fernando, for your explanations. This has been super fun. Thank you to the audience. What a great set of questions we got. And it seems like, we came up with all sorts of new use cases and sorts of things on a fun Q&A. So I really appreciate your time and you guys being here.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Everybody, please like and subscribe to this channel. We do Q&As like this and talk to amazing teams a couple times a week usually. We'll be back next week with one about collectible art and some fine art as well, which will tie directly into this, as we just talked about as well. Join the Chainlink Discord, Telegram, join the CurioInvest Telegram. When you join those communities, that's how you meet these founders and these builders, and cool ideas come to life. So Valhalla, go join community and make JRR token happen. Let's see if we can do it. But seriously, I really appreciate everybody coming, and we'll catch everybody next time on Chainlink Live.